Hello and welcome. I'm Michael Dennis. This is the Michael Dennis Show, coming to you live from beautiful, hazy northern Kentucky, the backyard in my northern Kentucky home. It is, what is it, Monday the 17th of July, and it's hot, and it's hazy, and it's weird. I forgot to mention, I am everyone's favorite Cincinnati sports skeptic, UCF grad, and Sopranos superfan. This episode is going to be a Parents Island episode. It's been another weird weekend with kids, another long weekend with kids, and I had a couple things that kind of bubbled up that I wanted to chat about. So this is going to be Parents Island. I will touch on the Reds a little bit in my main story, but this is going to be a Parents Island episode. I'm only 38 years old. I'm 38 years old, and I'm surprised it took me this long, or actually this short amount of time, to become the dad who complains that it's too expensive to go to a Major League Baseball game. But I'm now officially the dad who complains that it's too expensive to go to a Major League Baseball game. I attended my first real game of the season on Saturday night with my wife. We left the kids at home. It was Bronson Arroyo bobblehead night and Hall of Fame game. By leaving the kids at home, I was hoping to save a little bit of money and then also actually get to see some of the Hall of Fame ceremonies. I did not, just because when you have kids, you never get out of the house on time. And it takes forever. And even though you have your sitter who's going to get there at 5:30, you still have to get everything together and walk the dog and have everything ready for bed and bath prior. So right off the bat, I did not get to see the Hall of Fame ceremony or as much of that as I wanted to. But it is really expensive to go to these games, and I'm that guy now. I'm my dad. I'm the guy who calls into extra innings after the game and complains about this. But it's true. A couple weeks back, I was sitting around thinking about taking the girls to a game. There's four of us. There's just four of us in this family. Taking the girls to a game on a Sunday after we left the zoo. It was like a 12 noon, 12:35. It might have been that 11:35 start that they had. But I was going to go to that, and I pull up tickets that are available. And we have two little girls, so under the age of 4. So it's not like we're going to be sitting and watching any of it anyway. I get into the stadium, and then we go play around on the playground on the first baseline, or you go and sit and eat ice cream, or you go back and play somewhere else. There's really no sitting and watching of the game itself. So I'm looking up ticket prices, and it's like $25 a piece for standing room only. Our youngest doesn't have to pay to get in. That's still $75. If I drive down and pay to park, that's going to be $20 because I'm not paying on I'm not paying and parking on the Kentucky side and then walking over to Ohio. I'm just not. I got kids. I got too much S that I'm carrying around in my hands, and I got too much S I got to deal with. When I was a kid, we were in high school and stuff, and when we would go to 5 games on a 7-game homestand, of course we go park on the Kentucky side and walk over. It doesn't cost you anything. You have all night. You have nothing to do except have fun and do whatever. So it didn't matter when you got there. So I never paid for parking then. I feel like I'm literally paying for it now. But it was going to be $75 to get in, $20 for parking. I know for a fact I'm going to get harassed for at least a couple of Sundays. I might buy a beer or two. But, that was going to be a $140 trip to go into that stadium with all 4 of us. And that's before I've ever even bought a piece of merch or something. So, yeah, I hate to be that guy, but it is really expensive. It is almost too expensive to take your kids to the stadium these days. That stinks. On top of that, they're real crowded now. The games are crowded because they're good. I'm turning into my dad in a couple different ways. My dad used to hate it when the Reds were good because the crowds would show up, and normally he had an entire stadium to himself, and he could just sit there and watch the game in peace and quiet and wouldn't have to fight anybody to get a hot dog or go to the bathroom. But now it's packed. Now the Reds aren't terrible, and it's packed, so it's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass to do any of it. So it's expensive. It's crowded. I'm officially my dad. I'm officially one of those guys that calls in to extra innings to complain about these things, and I sound like an old fogey. But so it was too expensive, so we left the kids at home. My wife and I go down to the Bronson bobblehead, and I wanted a Bronson bobblehead. I'm not one of these guys that collects a whole bunch of them and gets 7 of them and sells 6 of them on eBay. No, I just want one because I go to a couple games a year and I like the official bobbleheads that they give out. And we got there probably around 5:50, right about 6 o'clock. And I know I'm going to get hammered in the comments or whatever because of this, but they were already all gone. And I was kind of shocked. I'd gone onto the Cincinnati Reds website earlier in the week to ask, I was curious how many they were giving away. Because I don't know if any of you were around for this or if you remember it, but when the Reds first started giving away bobbleheads and it first became a thing, the very first one was with Eric Davis. They would only give out like 10 to 15,000 a night. So in a stadium like Riverfront Stadium that held, 52,000, 60,000 people, only 1 in 4 people would get a bobblehead. So you had to get there like 3 hours in advance and just sit up there on the concourse of Riverfront Stadium listening to that tape that they played over and over again about finding your car and parking safely and walking safely and what you can and can't bring into the stadium. So I remember sitting out there for hours waiting, being able to get an Eric Davis bobblehead. But then that changed over the years, and they ended up giving out more and more and more and more. And even when I worked in for the Reds 10 plus years ago, I feel like they were giving away 40,000 every home game. That place only holds 42,000 people. So I went online to see how many they were giving away of Bronson. And it said while supplies last. I looked at it a couple times. I checked it twice last week just to make sure. And it said while supplies last. So when I get to the game and they're already all gone, I was really surprised to see that. And then as I'm walking around, I really didn't see a lot of people carrying them. I was surprised the lack of people carrying 6 or 7 of them, which, there are always the hoarders that come in and gobble those up. But there was even a giant lack of those people. And I'm really curious how many they actually gave away. I did manage to get a Bronson Royal bobblehead, but that's only because someone left one behind at the end of the game in a rainstorm, and I found it up in the seats. But I don't understand how many they have. What is the rationale for this? I went to the website today to see how many they're giving away of the bobbleheads, and the bobblehead nights still to remain this season. And they have one in August of Jonathan India. That also says while supplies last. They have an Elmo one for family night in September. That says while supplies last. They even have a goddamn Jerry Garcia night in August. They're giving one away for him. It says while supplies last. And I think this is really shitty. It's really crummy. Like, you guys should be telling us how many you're giving away so that I can plan my night accordingly. Or do I just have to plan on being there at 5:40 when they open up the gates to get my bobble? Like, why can't you tell me how many you have? I don't understand why they were in the habit of telling people how many bobbleheads they give away, and now they don't tell anybody how many bobbleheads they give away. So that really bothered me. that wasn't fun. It was, the other thing, my wife, who's from Detroit, was asking me about Reds history. Now that she lives here and gobbles some Reds history up here and there, thanks to me and watching it all the time. She asked me about the Big Red Machine and a little bit of their teams and why they were great. And then she mentioned, like, if she was going to buy some retired player's jersey, who should she buy? And she was like, what if I bought a Pete Rose jersey? Like, he got busted for gambling. He's like a little folk hero around here, right? And I was just like, no, we're not buying a Pete Rose jersey. Look, Pete may have gotten a raw deal from baseball here and there, but there's nobody who's a bigger scumbag than Pete Rose. So no, that man did not help his case. That man is radioactive. We are not buying a Pete Rose jersey. So that was fun, kind of illuminating her. There was a fun photo going around of Ellie De La Cruz and Pete Rose last couple days. There was a caption on Twitter. It's like, what is Pete saying to Ellie in this photo? And yeah, that's an important question. But really, the question should be, is Ellie listening to anything Pete says? Because whatever Pete Rose tells you to do, if you're a professional baseball player, especially in the city of Cincinnati, do not do it. Do not do it. For any reason whatsoever. I then told my wife and my buddy at the time on Saturday night that, if you're gonna buy a jersey of an old player and you just want to go straight down the middle and hit a solid double, go get an icon of the city. Go get Barry Larkin. Go get Johnny Bench. You know, those guys, especially Johnny, never really brought any sort of major disgrace or anything to this city. And I'm sorry, what? Oh no, not Johnny, not you two. Oh jeez. Oh no, I got to return Jenny's birthday gift. The other thing I have in here in Parents' Corner, this Friday night, my kid's school is having this summertime event. So school's out, but they're still getting people together in the summer. So this Friday night, they're having a movie event. Are you kidding me? They're having a movie on Oppenheimer night. They're having a movie on Barbie night. Are they showing Oppenheimer? Prince of Peace School and Catholic School in Covington, Kentucky, with the premiere of Oppenheimer this Friday night. I mean, sure, why not? Oh, I know what else. I want to talk about doomed family trips. And if you have kids or you have a significant other, there are some trips that are just doomed. And you know what I mean. Like, you get up in the morning. It doesn't even have to be like a big vacation. It can just be like a day trip. Like, we went to Kings Island yesterday morning. And, you know, no one was particularly bad. But just you can tell when a kid or a spouse, that compass isn't pointing north that day. And everything goes wrong. Everything piles up. It started for us early in the morning, but I being the bastion of positive thinking in this family, it's like, no, we're going to go to Kings Island, we're going to go to the water park, and we're going to turn this day around, and we're going to pull it together, and everybody's going to be fine. And then you get there, and everybody's still a mess, and just nothing goes right, and the water's too cold, and you misplace something, and then you can't find the rest of your party, and then you're wandering around, and just, but you know it as a parent. If you have any kind of nose for things, you have any kind of gut reaction, you can just read the room and read everyone in your family and be like, this isn't good. I'm getting weird vibes from everyone. You know, what do you do in that moment? Do you try and go through it? The only way out is through. Or do you just quit? Do you just hunker down for the day and try to do as little as possible and keep the collateral damage as much as you can? I don't have an answer for that. Because I've seen both of them succeed. But yesterday was a doomed trip to Kings Island. But, you know, everyone's safe and healthy. But just a day where, you know, those kids are in a funk. And learning how to navigate that and navigate around that. While not playing your hand and while not losing your cool. That's a big deal. That's a big thing. So I just wanted to get some reps. I'm glad I recorded an episode here today. I'm in the middle of a midlife crisis, and so instead of getting a Corvette or a Mistress, I'm starting a YouTube channel, and I'm trying to post content semi-regularly. So please subscribe, and you can even turn the notifications off so you don't get any notifications when I post or do anything. Just subscribe. Look at it like charity, and just help out a middle-aged dad here. Try and get something creative out of him. So anyway, thank you so much. My name is Michael Dennis. This is The Michael Dennis Show because it couldn't be titled anything else.